Excited to be here.
Welcome to the Overcoming Medical Hair Loss Summit. My name is Valerie Fuentes. I'm your host, and today I am with Kim Sam, and she's actually one of, I want to say, inspiration. Kim, I love your hair, your makeup, all the things. You know, if I ever look up to somebody like, how do I want to carry myself in the future, that will be you. Because
Oh,
you're
thank
our
you.
hair goals and attitude goals and everything. So I'm so happy that you're here. So happy. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited to to participate in this. This is crazy.
It's so fun. I'm so happy that you're here. So for people that don't know you, which I doubt that anybody doesn't know you in the hairless community, tell us about you. When did you lose your hair? What brought you to where you are today?
Cool. Well, actually, there's a lot of people who say they don't know me, even though I talk about, my hair loss journey quite a lot. But yeah, I'm 42. I live in Australia, and I'm Greek background, so I've lived in Greece for a really long time. But I actually lost my hair here in Australia. Go figure. And I lost it maybe 3.5 years ago, or maybe 4 years ago now. I had gallbladder removal surgery, so I had gallstones, and I got those removed. And from trauma after surgery, so my body went into shock. They say that caused my hair loss. So I actually did have a genetic history. My grandmother had lost her hair, and my cousin. So it was going to happen at some point. But I think it was the surgery that woke up my alopecia. So I had, the classic one little coin size hole in my hair that my hairdresser found, and she pointed it out. And then within 3 months, I lost all of my hair. And I was diagnosed with alopecia areata. And then 2 months later, I lost everything off my body. So within 5 months, I had alopecia universalis.
Wow.
So yeah, yes.
So how did you cope with it? So I tell everyone that this is, you get to do the inner work and the outer work, right? Because it's not only the wigs and how we look, but emotionally, how did you cope with it?
In the beginning, I had really mixed diagnosis. So I was actually told that I suffered from anxiety first because I had extreme itching with my alopecia. So I was always scratch my head and scratch my skin. So my doctor first said that I had anxiety, and he gave me anti-anxiety medication, but also, breathing exercises and meditation and things like that. After my first anti-anxiety medication, I stopped it because I was a zombie. And then I just did all the meditation. But for me, it was talking about it with people. So that's what really helped me, because I'm a very social person. I'm a very open person. I like talking to people, and I had then a very close-knit circle of friends and my colleagues at work. So, I had my office mum and she would be the person I could lean on at work and cry on her shoulder. And she'd come and find me in my car when I was crying in the morning. So, and I have a really great partner at home who was so supportive and, was with me every step of the way and shaved my head, cut my hair, just made me still feel feminine and attractive, because in my mind, I linked my hair to femininity and being a woman.
Right.
Yeah. So that was the biggest thing for me, is that I no longer look like a woman. But yeah, until I spoke to someone, I don't remember who it was. I cannot remember this person, on one of the hair loss forums 3.5 years ago. And I'm talking about, those forums, not social Instagram and stuff like that.
Right.
But she actually told me I should take a photo of myself every single day, to keep a journal of myself and how I look and how I see myself, because I was seeing myself very different. I had all of that. I'm a Greek woman. I'm supposed to look nice, or I'm supposed to have long hair, and I'm supposed to have eyelashes and eyebrows. So I would take a photo of myself every day. And I made a promise to myself I would not wear hair at home. I would be natural, because this is who I am, really. And for me to get myself in this position that I was in. So, yeah, the photo journal really helped me. I still do it. I don't do it as often anymore, but because I have too many wigs. But it really helped me that first year come to terms with who I was. And that's when I started wearing a lot more makeup because I wanted my makeup to kind of help my eyes stand out because I don't have eyelashes, eyebrows. And, you know, I wanted my lips to look bigger because everything else looked out of proportion and that kind of stuff. So, you know, and I tried to match my different eye makeup to my hair or the scarf that I was wearing. And, you know, I think it just really grew from there, and that I just, my consumerism went out of hand. I bought so much makeup. I watched so many YouTube tutorials and stuff on how to do like crazy makeup and things like that. So that just became part of my everyday, you know, like I'd wake up half an hour earlier to kind of make myself feel better. I mean, it was kind of like a Band-Aid, but it worked, you know, and taking those photos for me really, really worked.
Right. I think it can definitely go both ways, right? Because I think it definitely helps us feel better. And I don't judge it because I think it becomes an extension of yourself, right? Like you feel that our hair and our makeup, you know, like you said, it can become a Band-Aid. So it depends on the intention why you're wearing it. Like, are you wearing your hair because you're hiding your hair loss, or are you wearing your hair by choice because it makes you feel good? So that's a huge difference, right? Like that's what I tell everybody.
Absolutely. And I think it just comes to like what your personality type is as well, and what your inner strength is like. Because I am such a loud personality, I'm quite extroverted. You know, I have that support system as well. I'm really fortunate that I do. I think it was more of a choice for myself. In the beginning, it was a Band-Aid for sure, but I definitely viewed it as a choice, and I didn't want my hair or my new hair to be what, you know, is my new image, because I wasn't always about that. I mean, I would still go to the gym bald, like I do my exercise bald. You know, there were certain times and events where I was just like, there's no way I'm wearing the wig. I can't do it. Like, I was overheating. I was overweight. Yeah, no, there was no way. And I still don't wear a wig to the gym. Like, I just can't do it. I don't wear a hat, just bald. Yeah.
And that, to me, honestly, has been like the most liberating thing because I don't know if you know, but I wore a hair system for like 5 years, and it wasn't until recently that I started wearing toppers and wigs. And to work out with nothing is the most amazing thing. To go to sleep with nothing is the most amazing thing. To just like sometimes just be at home with nothing, it's so great. To not wear anything and be like, oh, yay. You know what I mean? It's a different feeling that I did not experience for years because I was wearing something permanently for like 5 years. So I feel so good that I make this move. And it took some adjusting because also same thing, I was not used to seeing myself without hair for years, right? Like it's almost like I took 20 steps back or 20 years back to facing myself again with no hair, you know, or without alternative hair.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
That was a little bit of a shock. I'm not going to lie. But it's worth it. Honestly, I feel so liberated and it's so much fun. And now I get to play, right? Like I'm not an expert by all means, but I can be an expert. I feel like if I really wanted to play with it and like I've never had this many hair in my life that what I have right now, which it's only like 5 things, but to me that's a lot right now. And I'm happy with it. It's so fun.
No, it is. Yeah. And, you know, we have so many options now. Like, I was speaking to some women who had lost their hair like decades ago, and they were like, there were so few options and they were wiggy and they weren't great quality. But now there's like a plethora of options and the hair looks amazing, and human hair and synthetic hair and mixed hair and like different caps. And yeah, like there's just so many options from the most cost saving. You can buy a wig from a wig shop or a beauty supply store for like $35, or you can go to your really big wigs and, buy a really special wig for like thousands of dollars. So there's options for everyone. And, I think that's my premise as Kim is I want to show everyone that there's options for everyone too. Like what I wear and like the hundreds of wigs that I wear it's just showing people that there are wigs out there for everyone.
Yeah, because that's the future of it too. That's what I tell everyone. There's going to come a point that just like we're all doing our nails and some people are doing their lashes, everybody's going to be wearing hair. I'll give it, to be honest with you, I'll give it 5 years, tops. I really think that's how soon everybody's going to be wearing hair.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, look, the way that COVID went this year, I think it was a really big hit on women, especially because they couldn't do their hair and things like that. So, they were looking at alternate options for sure.
Yep. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you something that I get asked all the time, and it's like, how do I deal with this with my coworkers? Like, how do I come into work with new hair? And I know you just recently got a new job and you were completely open about it. So what's your piece of advice to those women that are super scared? Actually, I was asked that today. How do I go back to work with new hair? I don't know what to say.
So I think there are a few different options that you need to consider when you go back to work with new hair. So the first one is know your work environment. Obviously, what's the company culture? If it's a really open company culture and people are accepting, obviously you won't have a company where everyone is perfect. I mean, that would be the ideal situation. But if your company culture is very opening, very, very accepting, then I would be open about it. Like, we spend the majority of our day at work. So with these people, I personally couldn't comprehend hiding it from these people. I mean, when I first started wearing wig and I had one wig, I told them pretty much because they were with me throughout my first stages of hair loss. But if I went with a separate wig or with a new wig, which is kind of similar, you might not feel you need to. Like, we all think that everyone is looking at our hair. That and this is not. Like no one is looking at your hair.
They're not.
I mean, no one is looking to see if they can see. Hang on, I can see Kim's lace. No, they can't. Like, no one can see your lace. No one can. Like, either they're standing too close. If they say they can see your lace, like, they need to move back, or they're just being really catty. But I always think that honesty is the best option if you think the company culture is will accept it and is accepting. If your company or where you work, people are not accepting, then I would probably, wear the new piece and just gauge people's opinions. And again, we don't properly gauge people's opinions because we still think people are looking at us. But yeah, I'd give it a few days and see if anyone says anything. But people really don't notice. Like, if it's a little bit different, no one will notice.
They don't. Yeah. And another thing that I tell everyone is, like, you don't have to tell everyone, right? Like, it's totally okay if you get a compliment and you just say thank you.
No. Oh, absolutely.
Your hair looks great. Thank you. Yeah. I don't have to tell them, oh, I have alopecia and this is not my hair and I bought it at this place or that place or no.
And I think it all comes down to where you're at as well and how comfortable you are being open and honest and telling people about it. Because if you're not comfortable at the end of the day, just say thanks and just walk away. Take the compliment. You freeze up because you don't know how to respond when people say it to you for the first time. It's like, oh, should I have told them it's a wig? But I think, just accepting the compliment if you don't want to talk about it is fine. I mean, it's your right as a person with hair loss to do what you think is right for you.
Right. So Kim, I'm really fascinated lately, actually. This has been my new thing lately. Investigating about the different cultures and the different countries and what's happening with hair loss in the different places. So I know you're originally from Greece and live in Australia. Can you give me a little glimpse of both, like what's happening in Greece and what's happening in Australia with hair loss? And where are people at? Like, what's there? What do you two guys talk about? Do you talk about it or not?
Yeah. So Greece is a bit tricky because I lost my hair here in Australia. So the last time I went to Greece was for holidays 2 years ago. And obviously I was fully bald by then. And I had reached that point in my hair loss journey where I was really comfortable not wearing wigs, and especially in summertime because I get really hot to my scalp. So I went to Greece. No one talks about it. No one talks about hair loss. It's really frightening actually because some of the older generations made me feel ashamed that I was going bald. Or that was then. But again, no one talks about it. No one will come and ask you, or they'll come and ask you and they'll be like, oh, you've got cancer, right? So they'll make assumptions about you. There was, back when I was there were no organizations. So there weren't really too many people talking about it openly. I mean, in the past 2 years, I think there have been, like there was a girl on Greece's Next Top Model who had alopecia. She came out about it. I think there was a singer or someone, I'm not too sure, but there was someone else in the spotlight. There's an actor who I've met, a man who has alopecia. But again, there's no actual organization in Greece. So I do know that there's another fellow alopecian, Martha, who is trying to really start up something, and she's really amazing. So yeah, she's doing the first steps, and hopefully we get a lot more people talking about alopecia in Greece and hair loss. In Australia, so we have the organizations, we have the bodies of people talking about hair loss. I'm in so many groups. I'm adminning in another group here in Sydney. But I still find that people are still stuck on alopecia here, on hair loss. Like, it is accepted and it's not accepted. I think it's just kind of that, it's quite a double-edged sword. People talk about it and don't talk about it. I still think there's stigma about women going out without hair and about women talking about hair loss publicly and openly. But I find that they're quicker to accept. So I think that's really, really great here, is that people are much quicker to accept that you're wearing wigs, you know. And
but you think like they're quicker to accept for somebody else, or they're quicker to accept for themselves?
For somebody else.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah. I still think like there is that stigma in Australia still that you need to be wearing something in your head and you need to have hair as a woman. Because I don't know, and I might get so many negative messages after this, but I still think Australia, similar to Greece, is a culture very much on physical appearance. Yeah. Like,
just like Hispanics.
Yeah. But, you know, it is a cultural thing. Greeks are like that, and so are Australians. Totally. Like, Australians is all beach and beauty and long hair and gorgeous and, you know, tan skin and stuff like that. So, but even the older generations, like I've met women here in Australia who have never taken off their wig in front of their husbands. It's like never. 35 years of marriage, and they've been wearing wigs. So, you know, it's just things like that. I've met other people who have not told their spouses that they have alopecia. And, you know, they do full unit installs for like 3 weeks. Yeah. It's crazy. Like, I can't believe it. So the stigma's still there. I think that our generation and the younger generations are definitely moving towards changing that and making it more, you know, accepted, especially wigs and wig wearing. And, you know, there's so many Aussies here, you know, trying to do that with their social platforms and, you know, just the alopecia communities and things. There's just so much happening, but it's, you know, it is being accepted, but at a much slower rate.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now that you say that, I was thinking about this because absolutely not intentionally. I'm just speaking to the people that I see that are being leaders in this community. I feel like 80% of the women that I've talked to are under 20s. I'm not in my 20s, but like 80% of the people that I've been speaking to are under 20s. So I do definitely see that like generation, like moving, like the younger generations being like, F this. We're done.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what's happening. And you know what? I'm definitely not in my 20s.
Yeah.
At another 2 decades and I'm there.
No, same.
You know, but why not? Like,
I love
still,
it. I love it. Yeah.
like, I don't think we should put a label on how people in their 40s or in their 50s, like any age or any decade, need to act or need to look. So, if I want to wear my pink hair one day, I will. And I don't care. It's just how I like to feel, and how, I know that my partner's accepting of it as well. Even if he wasn't, I still would, wear my pink hair. But that's just me. And I think we really need to break that, those constraints that people have put on generations, like that whole ageism, but also break those barriers of you should be wearing hair or you should look one way. So, yeah.
No, and to me, honestly, that's even more badass. You know what I mean? Like when I look at Joe Tucker or like Amber, right? Like they have 5 kids, and they're like wearing purple, pink, red, black, and I'm like, yes, I want to be
Awesome.
like you. I think it's so amazing. I love
It's
it.
awesome. And I mean, it's alopecians or sisters and people like them who really are pushing the boundaries, and that's beautiful.
It's
We
so
need
cool.
that. We need more of it.
Yeah. So did you experience any kind of, did you feel, did you experience any kind of, how do you call that? I don't know. Did your family say anything to you? Your family, per se?
Yes.
Not friends. They did? Okay.
Yeah, of course. I think everyone's family does, in a way. So it took me a really long time to understand why it was happening. I won't start with what they said, but why they said it. So I had delayed telling my family, because I live in Australia away from my family. And it took me probably 6 months to tell my parents and my immediate family what was happening. By that time, I was kind of accepting it. So when I told my family, they were at the beginning of acceptance. So they were, at the very, very beginning, at the shock stage. And I was already here, like a few months ahead. So I had to come to understand and to realize after a certain time that they were that way because it was their shock. And they had to come to terms with it too, because I'm the only daughter, like I have siblings, but the boys, and, I'm always dad's little girl and things like that. So, yeah, I think it just came to shock. It was a shock for them because they knew no one. And, it was like, they live in Greece. They live on an island in Greece in a small village. And it's like, what's the community going to say?
What are they going to say? Yeah.
Exactly. It's what's the community going to say? So, but they came to visit me here in Australia, and I was pretty cool about it. And at some point I got overheated at home because it was summertime. And I said to my dad, I really need to take my wig off right now. I'm dying, literally dying. I wanted to show my dad some respect and wear my wig at home, as you do, a great girl. And I was just like, I have to take it off. Like I'm really suffering. And he seemed okay with it. Like I realized how much it hurts my parents and seeing me like this. But now, they caught up with the acceptance and, realizing that I'm having fun doing this, and, they're loving my looks and they're like really great supporters. And but in the beginning, I think we just, it's hard to put ourselves in other people's shoes, and especially our families. It's not always easy, and they're not always going to be really accepting, but I think we need to give them a little bit of time to catch up with us. Like, I'm just looking at it from that point of view, is if I were to go head on with them straight away and say, look, I've lost my hair, you need to accept it now, I think I would have been more hurt that they wouldn't. So, yeah. Yeah. It was tough,
I love
though.
this perspective. I get that question a lot, actually, from my clients, which breaks my heart, because a lot of the question is, how do I tell my family? And at the beginning, for me, it was like, what do you mean, how do you tell your family? You just tell them. They're your family. They're supposed to accept you. But you're right, for them, and now I get that they're coming from a good place of like trying to help you and like, why don't you try this and why don't you try that? But it's not coming from a bad place. It's just like,
no, it's not.
we want to help you. Yeah.
It's coming from like that place
So
where
it's like, really?
so at a different place where we are, like in terms of acceptance.
Right. And they're not experiencing it heads on, right? Like they're not,
Yeah.
It's so different.
It is.
So when did you start to open your account? When did you decide I'm going to open an account and I'm going to do this?
Okay. So my social accounts are my personal accounts. So I've always been, I wanted to have the same account because it is still me. So it's a continuation of who I was before. Like I've not changed as a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still me. Just different hair and better hair. So, but I think I took a bit of a gap from social media when I first lost my hair, maybe till, I don't know, maybe around 8 or 9 months. But I came out on social media after my first year. So, and then that's when I was really active about hair. But I think I've been most active since maybe November last year. Yeah, so it's been a good almost year where I've been super active on social media, on Instagram anyway. Yeah. But
and what has been the best part of doing that?
Oh, just meeting so many people.
What has been the best part of doing it?
Yeah, meeting so many people, being able to share my experiences as well. Like I get so many lovely comments, and people ask me why don't I share comments or what people say to me, because I find it really personal, and it takes a lot for someone to contact me that might not be open about it. So I don't want to share their comments or that perspective. But like I'm really happy that if I can help one person, like honestly, if I can help one person, that's it. I'm happy. That's all I want, is if I can share my experiences. I'm not telling people what to do in no way, but if I can help one person, I'm really happy. If I can show one wig, which is gray or which is pink or red or blonde or human hair, and one person says, oh my God, that's my dream hair, then I'm happy. Because we all different personalities. No one is the same. No one is at the same place with me on a hair loss level, or, no one has the same personality as me. So if one person takes a little thing from my page or from my feed or from whatever I say, or, sometimes it's just, filler for the day, but if one person can, then that's awesome. But it's just meeting everyone. Like I've met so many amazing people who I consider my friends. So.
Yeah. So what would you say, like, when you're because here's one thing, it's like when people look at our accounts, or people that like you that are changing your hair every day and you're comfortable with it, people think that you never have a bad day, which I know is not true. So what do you do when you have a bad day?
Okay. So I'm a very positive person, and I try to be as positive as possible in general. Like this is just my outlook on life is, things will get better.
Same.
Things will get better. There's always room for improvement. You can always change. It's like changing your dress for today. I don't like my lipstick. I'm going to change my lipstick. So things will get better, and you can make steps to change. Even that first step is change. So when I'm feeling down, in my personal life, I'll listen to music. I'll do some exercise. I'll go for a walk. I have some really beautiful bushland and nature in my area. But on social media, I try not to be overly negative. I think I might have done that maybe 3 or 4 times this year, where I've just had some really bad days. I had some people block me in the hair loss community. I had some negative messages that really affected me. And I think it all culminated, I think it was a few weeks ago, actually. It culminated and got to a point where I just had to post about it and say something about it, because I had other people who know me and who are my friends say, you're not acting yourself. It's coming through that there's something wrong. So it just came to a point where I was just like, I took some time off. I came back. I told everyone why I wasn't great, and I'm okay now. But I usually try and take some personal time away from things that get me down.
You said earlier on the interview that you were doing meditation. Is mindfulness like a daily thing for you? I would love to hear about that.
So I use, gosh, there's an app that I have actually, and I follow like a breathing, because I forget to breathe. And I think that's the most important thing, is to stop and breathe. So my meditation is primarily about breathing and, you know, that whole awareness breathing. So I might go to the park, put on my app, put on my headphones, and just sit there and breathe for 15 minutes. And that's it. That's all I need. I don't go into headspace or anything like that. But for me, it's about being aware how to take a deep breath and a cleansing breath. And I find that that helps me tremendously. So I was an ex-smoker and I don't breathe correctly anyway. And this really, really helps me clear my mind and like fills my lung with fresh air and, you know, pure air and clean air. And I think that really helps me, it just really helps clean and cleanse myself so that I can come out a bit more positive. So definitely breathing helps. It's so cleansing and purifying, and it's something that I always recommend as well. But because it is fear of the unknown, and you don't know what it is, you don't know what to expect, and there's nothing you can do about it really, because no one's a magician and can know the future, unless you live in Australia like I do, where I'm ahead of everybody.
You're in the future, yeah.
I'm in the future.
No, totally. It's getting really present of what's happening with your life right now, right? It's bringing yourself to now, and it's like what's happening right now, right? All your worries of, are people going to love me? Is my husband going to leave me? Like, am I going to find a partner? Like, all that stuff, like, that's out there, but it's not happening right now. So, like, let's get present to what's happening right now. Like, what is happening in your life right now?
100%. And I'm all for, like, you don't have to do it every morning. Like, where you are right now, stop, sit down and breathe. If you're in your car, you know, park it on the side of the road if you're having an anxiety attack, and breathe. Like, that's the only way to do it. It's nothing, like, you can do it premeditated, but like at a spur of the moment is probably the best thing you can do if you're feeling overwhelmed, is just sit, stop, breathe.
Connect to yourself. And, you know, another thing that I think happens to a lot of people is when you're confronted with the conversation about your hair. That's the other thing I hear all the time, like, oh my God, what if somebody asks me about it? It gives me so much anxiety. And like, people have panic attacks, like legit panic attacks. If somebody at work asks them about their wig, or like, why are you losing your hair? Or like, oh my God, did you notice that you're losing your hair? And like, people freak out. And I tell everybody, like, breathe. Like, if that happens, breathe. Like, first thing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, look, you can always come up with answers like, I can't talk about it now, and walk away. Go breathe. Go lock yourself in the toilet and breathe. Yeah. Go to your car, sit in the car for 10 minutes and breathe, for sure. I mean, we've all been through that. It's not a fun feeling when you're feeling that anxiety, but you can breathe through it so you can clear your mind and, you know, react, or not react, but deal with it with a clear head.
Yeah, totally. Well, thank you so much, Kim. This has been so lovely. If there is any last words of advice you want to share with our audience, what would that be?
I think have fun with it if you can.
Yeah.
You know, everyone is on their own journey. I think we went through this already. We went over it. Everyone's on their own journey. Everyone's at their own pace. But even if you like consider your hair as, yes, it is an extension of you, but you can have fun with it. You know, you don't have to fit one model always. So
exactly.
Even as you,
Oh my God, that's the best advice. You get to be your own thing. You get to be your own thing, right? Yeah. You don't have to follow anybody.
Be you, be honest with yourself, and just have fun with it. Yep.
Yes, I love it. All right, well, thank you, Kim, so much. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next interview.